Minute Math. When you need help, you use Minute Math.
I'm Sean Gannon, and this is Minute Math. And today we're going to learn about algebraic and numeric expressions. Seven minus 2 divided by 5. So if we had 7 minus 2 divided by 5, our first step is what's inside the parenthesis. So we deal with our parenthesis first. Inside the parenthesis, 7 minus 2 is 5. So we have 5 now. Then we divide that by that 5. Well, what's 5 divided by 5? 5 divided by 5 is just 1. And so our final answer here is just 1. We have to follow our order of operations. 3 plus 3, all squared. Well, my first step is when I see the parentheses, I have to deal with everything that's inside of that parentheses first. Okay? So, parentheses, inside that we have 3 plus 3. 3 plus 3 comes out to be 6. Okay? And we still bring down a square. At this point, our last step is just squaring that 6. 6 squared is just 36. And there we go. Our final answer here is pretty simple, just a 36. 6 minus 3, all squared. Well, we have to deal with what's inside of the parentheses first. Okay? Inside the parentheses, that's our first step, is 6 minus 3. 6 minus 3 comes out to be a 3 squared. So now we have a 3 squared. Well, the parentheses really don't matter because there's nothing else on the inside, right? Just besides the 3, nothing to combine there. So we worry about the exponent now, the second part. 3 squared comes out to be a 9, and that's it. Our final answer for this problem is just 9. 5 plus 16 plus 2 divided by 3. So 5 plus 16 plus 2 divided by 3. Well, our first step is to deal with inside a parenthesis with 16 plus the 2. So inside that parenthesis, we need to simplify that. So we bring down the 5 plus 16 plus 2 comes out to be 18. Divided by 3. Well, there's nothing inside the parentheses that we can simplify. So we start working down the line. Exponents, none. Multiplication and division. Well, we have division, so we have to do that next. So 18 divided by 3 becomes our next step. 18 divided by 3 is a 6. So we have 5 plus 6 comes down here. All right, so we have 18 divided by 3 is 6. And then we have 5 plus 6 right there. So then 5 plus 6 comes out to be 11. And there we go. Our final answer here now is just 11. Negative 6 times 2 divided by negative 3. Okay, so I have my parentheses. First is I need to deal with everything inside of that parentheses. So I have the negative 6 times 2. Well, negative 6 times 2 is a negative 12. Then I bring down the divided by 3, minus 3. Negative 3. So now I have negative 12 divided by negative 3. So my last step is division here. Negative 12 divided by negative 3 is a positive 4. Right? A negative divided by a negative is a positive. And so my final answer is just 4. 2 plus 12 divided by 2 plus 1. So what I want to look at here is kind of confusing, but we look through our PEMDAS. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, and division. Division comes first. So all the way to the plus signs, our addition on the ends of this problem, we have to deal with the division first. So the 2 comes down, plus. What's 12 divided by 2? That's a 6. Then we have the plus 1. So now it's all addition, so it really doesn't matter. We just add across the board. 2 plus 6 is an 8. Plus a 1 is a 9. So our final answer here is just a 9. Now, if you have to do that 2 steps, you can, but I think, again, there we don't have to. So our final answer is just a 9. Negative 4 minus negative, no, just 1. So 1 minus 5 minus negative 4 all squared. Okay. So we have to deal with our parentheses first, everything inside of our parentheses. So the minus 4 just comes down. We don't really deal with that right now. Minus 1 minus 5 comes out to be 1 minus 5, a negative 4. So we have a negative 4 right here. Okay? Minus, well, negative 4 here, this parenthesis, nothing really going on there, can't really change anything, but we're squaring that first. We're squaring that negative 4. Negative 4 squared comes out to be a positive 16. So let's clean this up a little bit. We have a minus and negative right here. So that minus and negative is the same thing as adding a positive. So let's write that as plus a positive 4. And we don't need the parentheses anymore. Okay? And the 16, let's make that minus 16 to be plus a negative 16. I find sometimes it's a little easier that way to kind of look at it when it's all converted to addition. So now we have minus 4 plus a positive 4 plus a negative 16. Well, a negative 4 plus a positive 4 eliminates, and that's just a 0. So that cancels out. We just have a negative 16 left over. So negative 16 is just the final answer. Negative 3 times 2 times 2 times in parentheses negative 3 minus 1. Well, my first step here is to deal with that parenthesis. That's our first step here. So I'm going to bring everything down, minus 3 times 2 times 2 times whatever's being our parentheses. Negative 3 minus 1, which is a negative, okay, a negative 4. So we have a negative 4 right there. So even though now we have a parenthesis which is a negative 4, there's still multiplication going on over here between the 2 and the negative 4. So now we have multiplication across the board. So let's just go across from left to right. It's all multiplication. We'll simplify as we go. Negative 3 times 2 is a negative 6. Let's bring on the times 2 and times a negative 4. Negative 6 times 2 is a negative 12. So negative 12 times a negative 4 right there. Now, negative 12 times a negative 4 is a positive 48. Positive 48. So our final answer here is just a positive 48 because negative times a negative is a positive. 4 minus 3 times 1 minus 3 plus 5 times 5. So we have a lot of parentheses going on here. So we're going to start from the most inside parenthesis. Or if there's something on the side, just in its own parentheses. So we're going to be doing stuff like that. Parentheses come first. So I'm going to kind of deal with this parenthesis. It's isolated, it's by itself. 4 minus 3, that's just a 1. Okay? Now, so yeah, that's a 1. Okay. So, or this 1. So that 1 comes down, minus. We have to deal with this parenthesis first. 3 plus 5. 3 plus 5 is 8. And then we're going to have a parenthesis and times 5 right here. Well, luckily, multiplying by 1 doesn't do anything. So I'm kind of going to eliminate that now in my next step. So 1, anything times 1, it's gone. Don't really worry about it. So now we have the 1 minus 8 inside these bigger parentheses. Well, 1 minus 8 just comes out to be a negative 7. So negative 7 right there. And then we have the times 5 that comes down. So negative 7 now is isolated inside of parentheses. Don't really worry about that parentheses rule. We have multiplication next. Negative 7 times 5 is just a negative 35. And there we have it. Our final answer is just a negative 35. Negative 2 parentheses there, negative 16, minus another parenthesis, negative 2 plus 1, double parenthesis there, times 2, another parenthesis, divided by 5. A lot of parentheses here, all right? So we look at the most inside one, that's right here, that minus 2 plus 1. So I'm going to rewrite everything, take your time with this. So double parentheses, minus 16 subtracted by, and then negative 2 plus 1, that's going to be, I'm going to simplify that inside the parenthesis there, a negative 1. So a negative 1 right here. Then brought this parenthesis down, times 2. Keep everything in line. Okay, make sure you bring everything down. So now we deal with the next part. We have subtracting a negative. Subtracting a negative, same thing as adding a positive. So negative 16 minus a negative 1 is adding a positive 1. So negative 16 plus 1 is a negative 15. So double parentheses, negative 15 now. Combines these two, right? This parentheses, this one, that comes down. These two are eliminated because we got rid of that minus 1, or between negative or adding a positive 1. Then we have the times 2, come down, and then divided by 5. So working from inside the parentheses here, we have a negative 15 times 2. So this parenthesis, don't really worry about it anymore. There's nothing else inside of it. Then we have times by 2. So We have negative 15 times 2, which is a negative 30. That parenthesis comes down, boom, boom, divided by 5. Now it's getting a little easier to see. Negative 30 divided by 5 is negative 6, and that's it. Our final answer is just negative 6. 2 minus 8 divided by negative 2 minus 3 minus the negative 12 divided by negative 6 times negative 2. Okay, so please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Okay, we don't have any parentheses or exponents. We have multiplication and division. And really, multiplication and division are essentially the same thing. You just have to kind of read left to right. Division product can be turned into multiplication very easily. So let's go deal with that right here. 2 comes down. We don't really care about that. But we have 8 divided by a negative 2. 8 divided by a negative 2 is a negative 4. So we have minus here. 8 divided by negative 2, which is a negative 4. We down to minus 3. And then we have negative 12. So we're subtracting a negative 12 divided by a negative 6. A negative 12 divided by a negative 6 is a positive 2. So we have positive 2 here, right? So negative 12 divided by negative 6 is a positive 2. That's that minus sign, which is right there. And we times that by a negative 2. Well, as I'm cleaning up, I'm just going to convert this. Let's go down to the next step. I'm just going to deal with the multiplication that's right there. So as I do that, subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding a positive. So 2 plus positive 4 minus 3. And then we have a minus here. Actually, let's make everything plus a negative. It makes it a little easier. Plus a negative 3. Then we have a minus, or so subtracting here, 2 times a negative 2, which is a negative 4. So we have a negative 4 right there. So let's combine some of our stuff now. Okay, we have all addition now, all addition and subtraction. 2 plus 4 is a 6, plus a negative 3. And this subtracting a negative can become adding a positive 4. 6 plus a negative 3 is a negative positive 3, plus 4, right? And 3 plus 4 is just 7. So our final answer here is just 7. Negative 11 minus 6 minus negative 5 plus 1 plus 3 times 2 parentheses divided by negative 5. All right, so what I want to do is first I deal with that parenthesis, what's inside the parenthesis. Now, inside the parenthesis, I see a lot of subtraction and addition and then one little multiplication. I'm going to convert everything to be addition. So I have a negative 11 plus a negative 6, and then subtracting a negative 5 is thinking as adding a positive 5, plus 1, plus, now we have multiplication, 3 times 2, so I have to deal with that first. Actually, to do that operation, 3 times 2 is a 6. Then we have divided by negative 5. Okay? So let's kind of deal with everything that's on the inside. It's all addition now. So negative 11 plus a negative 6 is a negative 17, plus 5, plus 1, plus 6, divided by negative 5. Negative 17 plus 5 is a negative 12. So we have negative 12 plus 1 plus 6 divided by negative 5. Hope I have enough room here. Negative 12 plus 1 is a negative 11. So we have a negative 11 plus 6 divided by a negative 5. Negative 11 plus 6 comes out to be, 5. Negative 5, so we have a negative 5 here, divided by negative 5. And this one comes out to just be a good old-fashioned negative 5 divided by negative 5, which is a positive 1. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So our final answer here is just a positive 1. I plus z plus 2, and we have to use y to be a negative 6 and z to equal 5. Okay, so all we have to do right here is, well, I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to rewrite y plus z plus 2. Every single time we see a y and a z, we're going to substitute the values they told us they could be, y being negative 6 and z equal to 5. So let's put parentheses around it when I substituted it. Y is a negative 6 plus z, which is a positive 5, and then bring on plus 2. Okay? So now, once I substitute that in, negative 6 for y and z to be a 5, I then just simplify. Negative 6 plus 5 is a negative 1 plus 2. and negative 1 plus 2, which is a positive 1. And so our final answer here is just a positive 1. P times Q divided by 3 minus P. And they want us to use P to equal negative 6 and Q to equal negative 3. All right, so what I want to do here is I need to substitute negative 6 for P and Q to be negative 3. So I'm going to rewrite this just to P times right in the middle here. Q divided by 3 minus P. Now every single time I see the letter P, I have to put a negative 6 in. So I see a P out here, I'm going to put parentheses around stuff that I substitute in. Then we have a Q. I see a Q, I'll put a negative 3 in for a Q, so we have negative 3 here. Divided by 3 minus this P becomes a negative 6. Okay? So again, I put parentheses around everything that I substituted in, just kind of know that I substituted that in. So again, P became a negative 6, Q negative 3, and this P negative 6. So now we simplify. Well, the negative 6 on the outside really can't do anything yet. Wait till we simplify it inside this big parenthesis. Negative 3 divided by a negative 3, that becomes first, that's division, is a negative 1. So we have a negative 1 here, and now that minus a negative became the same thing as adding a positive. So we have a positive, adding a positive 6 right there. So negative 6 is still on the outside, don't really need a parenthesis there. Multiplication, negative 1 plus 6 is a positive 5. So now we have negative 6 times a positive 5, which is just a negative 30. And so our final answer here is just a negative 30. Z divided by 6 plus x minus 5. And we were using x to equal 1 and z to equal 6. Well, what we want to do is we're going to take this expression and we're going to substitute every single time we see an x, a 1, and every single time we see a z, a 6. So let's go, it's fine here. So when I'm going to substitute it in, when I see a z, I'm going to put a 6. So I'm going to put a 6 right there. And then I'll rewrite everything else. 6 comes out, plus x is a 1, plus x is a 1, minus and 5. Okay? So I put parentheses around the variables when I substitute them to have the number. So now let's follow our order of operation. Division first. 6 divided by 6 comes first. That is just a 1. Then we can bring down everything else. This 1. Our 1's pretty groupy. And then minus 5. So now it's just addition. Let's add them together. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is pretty easy. That's 3, right? So 3 minus 5. And 3 minus 5 is a negative 2. And so our final answer here is just a negative 2. X times z plus 3 plus 1 plus 3 minus y. We had to use x to equal 6, y to equal negative 5, and z to equal 2. Okay? Well, what I want to do now is I'm going to take my expression, and every single time I see an x, y, or z, I'm going to substitute in the corresponding number, 6, negative 5, and 2. So let's go do that. I see an x right here in the beginning. I'm going to put a 6 in. So I'm substituting 6 in for x. Z is next. So I have a big parenthesis. Now z is just a 2. Plus 3. Then we have plus 1 comes down. And I close parenthesis there. Plus 3. Minus my y, which is a negative 5. So now I've eliminated all of my variables by substituting a corresponding number for each one. So now it's time to simplify. Well, inside my parentheses, I have to deal with that first. So the 6 stays on the outside here. And I have the 2 plus 3. 2 plus 3 comes out to be a 5. Then we have plus 1 down and a plus 3. Now here we have a minus a negative 5. That's the same thing as adding a positive. So I'm going to switch that here. Positive 5. Next step is multiplication. We have multiplication going on here, right? So 6 times 5 is a 30. 30 then we have plus 1, plus 3, and then plus a 5. At this point, it's all addition, so it really doesn't matter which one we add first, but let's just go left to right here. 30 plus 1 is 31, plus 3 is 34, so we have 34 here, plus 5, and 34 plus 5 is a 39. And there we have it. Our final answer is just a 39. 6 plus q plus 5 minus q minus p plus 15. And we want to use p to be equal 1 and q to equal 1 as well. Alright. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my expression, and every single time I see a variable, I'm going to substitute the corresponding variable matched up with its number. Luckily for us, both of them is just 1. So 6 comes down, plus q is a 1, plus 5, minus, this q is just a 1, minus p, which is a 1. We can put parentheses saying we substituted in. Normally, well, it was kind of messy, but all. And then plus 15. So now we want to simplify it. We're going to use, use PEMDAS here. Parentheses were first. So I'm going to 6 plus 1 plus 5 right here. Minus 1 minus 1 in the big parentheses is just a 0. Plus 15. Okay. So now we just have subtraction and addition to deal with. Well, let's go left to right here. 6 plus 1 is a 7. 7 plus 5 is 12, so we have 12 right there. Minus 0 doesn't do anything, right? It kind of, minus 0 leaves it there. And then we have plus 15. Okay, don't really worry with that. Minus 0. So now we have 12 plus 15, which comes out to be a 27. And so our final answer here is just a 27. Negative 3 divided by 3 times a plus c times b plus 5 minus negative 6 plus a. And we had to use a to equal 1, b to equal negative 6, and c to equal negative 4. Well, to simplify this expression, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take every single one of these that's variables that are equal a number and find it here and plug in that number. So let's go rewrite this, negative 3 divided by 3 here, times a we said was 1. So we have 1 here, plus c we said is negative 4, so we have negative 4, times b was a negative 6 plus 5, minus negative 6 plus a we said is 1. So now I had to simplify. I have multiple sets of parentheses that kind of move in, so I'm going to deal with those inner parentheses. So let's go rewrite this. Minus 3 divided by 3. 1 plus a negative 4 times negative 6 plus 5 is a negative 1. So we have a negative 1 right there. Minus, inside this parenthesis, negative 6 plus 1 is a negative 5. Okay. So now, inside the bigger parentheses, I see right here is multiplications on highest order right there, negative 4 times a negative 1. So let's rewrite this, negative 3 divided by 3 times 1 plus or minus, whatever it is, the negative 4 times a negative 1 is a positive 4, so we have plus positive 4 here. And then here, subtracting a negative 5 is the same thing as adding a positive 5, so we have plus and positive 5. Well now, I have 1 plus 4 plus 5 inside my parentheses. I can add them all together, and that comes out to be a 10. So we have negative 3 divided by 3 times a 10, right there. Okay. So now we read left to right. We're dealing with multiplication and division. Okay. So division first here, left to right. Negative 3 divided by 3 is a negative 1. So we have a negative 1 right out here in front. Negative 3 divided by 3, and then the 10's right there. And then negative 1 times 10 is a negative 10. And so my final answer here is a negative 10. Nine x plus 9 minus 1. Well, what we want to do is combine our terms. I only see 9x by itself. There's only one variable, so I don't really worry about that. Now I have my numbers, 9 minus 1. So 9x comes down, and 9 minus 1 we combine together to get a positive 8. And so our final answer here is just pretty simple, 9x plus 8. 10n minus 4n. So I have 10n minus 4n. Well, what I want to do is combine my like terms here. The only like terms I see are the two that are given, 10n and 4n. So we can combine them together using subtraction. 10n minus 4n is just a 6n. So it's 6n right there. And that's it. This is pretty simple. Our final answer is just a 6n. Negative 9 minus 6 times negative v plus 5. Well, if I'm simplifying this, I see I have my negative 6 outside this parenthesis minus v times 5. Inside the parenthesis, negative v and 5 I cannot combine. So I'm going to have to distribute that negative 6 multiplication across. So negative 9 comes down, minus negative 6, or minus 6 times negative v. Right there is a negative 6v. And 6 times 5, or negative 6, right, times 5 is a negative 30, or minus 30. Right, 6 times 5 is 30, but the subtraction sign. So now, let's go combine our like terms here. The only like terms I see are the numbers that I can combine. So we have a negative 30 and a negative 9. That comes together to be a negative 39. And then subtracting a negative 6, though, is the same thing as adding a positive 6. So we go plus a 6v right there. And so our final answer here is just negative 39 plus 6v. Negative 10 times negative 8x plus 9 minus 8x. Well, what I want to do here is I see my parentheses of negative 8x plus 9. There's no like terms within the parentheses, so there's nothing that I can combine inside of it. So I have to distribute the negative 10 to both parts. So that's our next step here. So negative 10 times a negative 8x, which is a positive 80x, right? Negative 10 times negative 8 is positive 80, and the x is there. Negative 10 times 9 is a negative 90. Then we have now, all right, so as we distribute the negative 10 across, we don't need the parentheses anymore. We have the minus 8x on the outside. Well, now we have to combine our like terms. Our only like terms here are the ones with variables, 80x and a minus 8x. When I combine those two together, 80 minus 8 is 72. So we have 72x right there. When we bring down the plus a negative 90, or make it nicer, subtracting 90, and there we have it. Our final answer here is just 72x minus 90. 1 plus 4 times 2 minus 3k. Well, when I'm simplifying this, I look at my parentheses, nothing I can simplify within the parentheses. There are like terms there. So my first step is distributing that 4. So we bring down the 1, plus 4 gets distributed. 4 times 2 is an 8, and 4 times a minus 3k is a minus 12k. Alright, so now we have to combine our like terms. The only like terms I see are my numbers, the 1 plus the 8. So 1 plus 8 is a 9. 9 goes down right here. Then we bring down the minus 12k, and there we have it. Our final answer is just 9 minus 12k. Negative 8b plus 6 times 10 plus 6v. Well, what I want to do is kind of distribute this 6 across. I noticed inside the parentheses there was no like terms left to combine. So I'm going to distribute now the 6 across to both parts in the parentheses. So negative 8v comes down, plus 6 times 10 is 60, and 6 times 6v is a positive 36v. So now I want to combine my like terms here. I have my negative 8v and positive 36v that are both like terms. There's 60 is the only number there. So when I combine negative 8v plus 36v, that comes out to be a 28 positive 28v. So 36 minus 8 in a sense, if you think like that, is a positive 28. So 36v and negative 8v come together to be a 28v. I bring down the 60, and there we have it. Our final answer here is just 28v plus 60. 7 times 1 plus 9v minus 8 times negative 5b minus 6. Well, since within each parenthesis I don't have any like terms, I look to what's outside of it. We see a lot of multiplication. So I'm going to distribute 7 times a 1 to be 7, and 7 times 9b to be a 63b. We then have a minus 8, so we're going to distribute that minus 8 across. Minus 8 times minus 5b is a positive multiplication, negative times a negative is a positive 40b. And then 8 times a minus 6, or negative 8 times a minus 6 is a positive 48. So now what I want to do is combine my like terms. Okay, I have 48 and a 7, they both are the numbers there. I'm going to combine those together to get a 55. So we have 55 right there. Then I want to combine my 63b and 40b, which comes up to be a 103b. And so now we've combined our like terms, the v's, and then the numbers. So our final answer here is just a 55 plus 103b. Negative 10 times x minus 7 minus 7 times x plus 2. Well, when I was given this, I see my two parentheses and I try to simplify within each parenthesis, but I can't. There is no like term inside of each one of these parentheses. So I'm going to distribute now the minus 10 across. So we have minus 10 times x, which is a negative 10x. And the minus 10 times a negative 7 is a positive 70. Negative times a negative is a positive. Same thing here, we're going to distribute the minus 7 across. Minus 7 times x is a minus 7x. And minus 7 times 2 is a minus 14. So now I want to combine my like terms. I have my negative 10x and my minus 7x that can combine together to be a negative 17x. Right? Negative 10 plus negative 7 is a negative 17 in the x. Now we combine the numbers. 70 and a minus 14 comes out to be a positive 56. And so our final answer here is just a negative 17x plus a 56. Negative 2 times negative 6x minus 9 minus 4 times x plus 9. Well, inside each of these parentheses, there are no like terms. So we cannot combine anything within each parenthesis. So we need to distribute outside of it. The negative 2 times a minus 6 is a positive 12x. Right? So negative 2 times a negative 6x is a positive 12x. Negative times a negative is a positive. And negative 2 times a negative 9 is a positive 18. We then have the minus 4. Okay? The minus 4 times x is a minus 4x. And the minus 4 times a 9 is a negative 36. So now what I want to do is combine my like terms. I see my variables, my x's, and then I see my numbers. So let's deal with the variables first. 12x minus that 4x is an 8x. Okay? 18 and a minus 36 come out to be a minus 18, right? 36 or 18 plus a negative 36 is a negative 18. So our final answer here is just 8x minus 18. 9 times 7k plus 8 plus 3 times k minus 10. Well, inside each of these parentheses, there are no like terms, so I cannot combine anything within it. So I need to distribute now the 9 and the 3 across to the parentheses. So 9 times 7 is a 63, and we have a k there. And then 9 times an 8 is a 72. Then we have a plus of 3. 3 times k is 3k. And 3 times a minus 10 is a minus 30. So now I have 63k plus 72 plus 3k minus 30. I want to combine my like terms. So I have my variables and my numbers. So let's combine the variables first. 63k plus 3k is a 66k. 72 and a minus 30 come out to be a positive 42 right there, those two numbers. So our final answer here is just 66k plus a 42.
Minute Math. When you need help, you use Minute Math. Minute Math. Minute Math. When you need help, you use Minute Math. MinuteMathTutor.com.